You think you've heard it all? Well, think again. In today's video, I'm diving deep into 8 bands you've probably never come across before, but trust me, they're about to dominate your playlist. From genre-bending rock to jaw-dropping experimental sounds, these bands will take your music taste to the next level. Stick with me. Spooky Tooth were a rock band formed in Carlisle, England in 1967. They were known for their unique blend of rock, blues rock, and psychedelic rock. The band originally consisted of members from a previous group called Art, with the addition of American keyboardist and vocalist Gary Wright. Their debut album, It's All About, was released in 1968, followed by their most acclaimed album, Spooky 2, in 1969. But despite the talent and quite a distinctive sound, they struggled to achieve mainstream success, and over the years, they underwent several lineup changes, with members like Greg Rivley later joining Humble Pie, and Mick Jones going on to form Foreigner. The band broke up and reformed multiple times, with the final active years being in the 2000s. The Nuts were a British hard rock band formed in Liverpool in 1973. The original lineup included Dave Lloyd on vocals, Mick Davenport on guitar, Keith Mulholland on bass, and John Mylett on drums. These guys were known for their energetic sound and released several albums. The self-titled debut album in 1974, Nuts 2 in 1975, and Hard Nuts in 1977. Their music combined powerful riffs and melodic elements and made them a notable act in the hard rock scene of the 70s. But despite this talent, they didn't achieve the widespread fame, but they did gain recognition for their live performances and support spots, particularly with bands like Black Sabbath and Budgie, and they even played a set at the 1976 Reading Festival. In 1979, the band evolved into a new group called Rage, and they continued to release music into the early 1980s. Now, Capability Brown were a British progressive rock band active in the early 1970s. It was named after the famous 18th century landscape architect Lancelot Capability Brown. The group were known for their intricate vocal harmonies and multi-instrumental talents. 6 members were in this band: Tony Ferguson, Dave Nevin, Kenny Rowe, Graham White, Joe Williams and Roger Willis. And each member contributed vocals, but also played multiple instruments, which really added a depth and versatility to the sound. They released 2 albums during a very brief career, From Scratch in 1972 and Voice in 1973. And the music often featured a mix of original compositions and covers of lesser-known tracks by other artists, such as Beautiful Scarlet and Red Man by Rare Bird, and Liar from Argent. Despite the talent and unique approach, they didn't quite achieve the significant commercial success and disbanded in 1974. Hard Meat were a British progressive and psychedelic rock band from Birmingham, and they were active between 1969 and 1971. The band were formed by the brothers Michael Dolan on guitar and lead vocals, and Steve Dolan on bass and vocals, along with drummer Mick Carless. They were known for intricate compositions and quite a unique sound. They actually released 2 albums in 1970, Hard Meat and Through a Window. The music blended acoustic and electrical elements, showing off their versatility. Notable tracks include their cover of Bob Dylan's Most Likely You Go Your Way and I'll Go Mine, and their original Run Shaker Life, which was an extended dynamic piece. Again, they didn't achieve the commercial success and broke up shortly after the second album. It's a real hidden gem for fans of early progressive rock music. Brute, with a full stop after their name, were a collaborative side project formed in the mid-1990s by America's singer-songwriter Vic Chestnut and the members of the jam band Widespread Panic. The group originated in Athens, Georgia, and blended southern rock and jam band improvisation, along with Vic Chestnut's distinctive songwriting style. The debut album, Nine High a Palette, was released in 1995, and this featured a mix of introspective lyrics and dynamic instrumentation. The band performed live only a handful of times, making their appearances a rare treat for fans. In 2002, they released a follow-up album called Cobalt, which continued their unique musical exploration. Brit's music is cherished by fans of both Vic Chestnut and Widespread Panic for its raw emotion and creative synergy. Druid were a British progressive rock band formed in Berkhamsted, Hertfordshire in the early 1970s. They gained quite a lot of attention after winning the Melody Maker Rock and Folk Talent Contest in 1974, and this led to a recording contract with EMI. The band were known for their symphonic and art rock style, and they drew heavy influences from bands like Yes and Genesis. The lineup included Neil Brewer on bass, Cedric Sharpley on drums, Dane Stevens on vocals and guitars, and Andrew McCrory-Shand on keyboards. They released 2 albums, Towards the Sun in 1975 and Fluid Druid in 1976. Their music featured intricate arrangements, lush harmonies and a strong emphasis on the melody. But despite their talent, they broke up in 1977. Some members pursued other musical ventures, with Cedric Sharpley later joining Gary Newman's backing band, the Tubeway Army. Andrew McCrory-Shand went on to compose music for children's television, including the popular show Rosie and Jim. Cardiacs were an English rock band formed in Kingston upon Thames in 1977 by the brothers Tim Smith and Jim. Initially, they called themselves Cardiac Arrest, and they became one of Britain's most unique and influential cult bands. They blended genres like art rock, progressive rock, punk and psychedelia, often incorporating elements of circus music, baroque pop and even nursery rhymes. This eclectic mix was paired with theatrical performances, offbeat costumes and Tim Smith's complex, innovative songwriting. The band released several albums, including A Little Man in a House and The Whole World Window in 1988. By gum, that's a mouthful. Which featured their most well-known single, Is This the Life? He released other notable albums, including On Land and Sea in 1989 and Sing to God in 1996, and that one was often hailed as a masterpiece. But despite the critical acclaim, Cardiacs remained largely underground, but amassing a devoted fan base. In 2008, Tim Smith's health issues led the band on an indefinite hiatus, and his passing in 2020 brought renewed attention to their work. Cardiac's influence can be seen to bands like Blur and Radiohead, and their music continues to inspire a passionate following. Paris were an American rock supergroup formed in 1975 by the guitarist and vocalist Bob Welsh, who had just recently left Fleetwood Mac, along with bassist Glenn Cormick, formerly of Jethro Tull, and drummer Tom Mooney, who had been a member of Nas. This band were known for their blues rock, hard rock and funk influences, with a sound that also incorporated elements of heavy metal and jazz fusion. They released 2 albums in 1976, Paris and Big Town 2061. Their music showcased a mix of Welsh's melodic sensibilities and the band's heavier experimental approach. But despite this talent, the band struggled to achieve commercial success. And after their first album, Mooney was replaced by Hunt Sales, and later Glenn Cornick departed, leading to further lineup changes. They broke up in 1977, but Bob Welsh went on to have a successful solo career, while Hunt Sales later worked with Iggy Pop and David Bowie's Tin Machine. Paris remains a fascinating chapter in the careers of its members, and offering a glimpse into their creative exploration during the mid-1970s. So there you are, another 8 bands I bet you've never heard of. If you have, let me know which ones in the comments. Also, send in your suggestions for bands you think others won't know for future editions, as this is a video created from your choices. The first episode in this series proved very popular indeed, and has featured a number of unknown bands that you were mostly unaware of. Take a look at that video next, and I'll see you over there.